As of right now, Texas homeowners are actually becoming more and more surprised that their homes are being foreclosed on by the federal government. I am here with a real estate attorney out of Texas. John, can you introduce yourself? And we're going to talk about what's going on in Texas right now with HUD-1 foreclosures.
Definitely. My name is John Gannon-Hulstowski. I'm one of the top 5 largest real estate foreclosure litigation attorneys in Texas.
So what we've got right now is John contacted me. We've known each other for about 3.5 years. And he said, HUD-1 foreclosures are exploding. I cannot believe this is not in the news yet because of some videos I did a handful of months ago saying that actually it was a year ago, the foreclosure wave starts in June. You're located in Dallas, Fort Worth, but you have offices in other places. And I remember hearing from a buddy of mine that's blowing up with tax liens and deeds that he said something like 900 foreclosures were recorded in one day in Dallas in July.
Easy. Yes.
And you're seeing actual Fannie and Freddie, FHA loans coming into your office right now. And you've got an interesting theory about this because Texas and Texans understand them to be sovereign. Texas is its own country, essentially.
Yes.
But the federal government stepping in and foreclosing.
So it's going to sort out somewhere.
Yeah.
Right? Uh-huh. All of the tension we've had. And I was angry.
Yeah.
Is it fair to say? I was kind of frustrated when I heard it. So one of the things I'm most frustrated about is that there's very simple foreclosure laws and there's effectively about 2 or 3 ways to do it.
Yeah.
And we stick to it.
Yeah.
Right. And so Texas has one day of the month, first Tuesday of the month, they do all the foreclosures. They can do it at the courthouse steps. Like it or hate it, we're fast.
I was just at one the other day. Yeah.
You were
super fast. Yeah.
Super fast. Now that's not always the issue. So other states like New York and New Jersey have 3 to 4 year cycles. Mm-hmm. And so each month I'm hired to do 20 or 30 restraining orders to stop everything from $40 million apartment complexes to residential houses. And I was shocked. This is a legal term, shocked to my conscience, right? Because what I saw was a conversion deed of trust that emanated from a Fannie and Freddie HARP or HAMP, government helper loan.
Yep.
That came from, and there's 3 or 4 ways you can get them, right? Let's talk about a few, right? You've got the Great Recession, you've got first-time homebuyer credits.
Yep.
And they were going without any suit, specifically at the courthouse steps, to cry the sale as HUD.
Yes.
Okay? And we have never had in Texas a foreclosure sale cried directly by HUD. And here's the problem.
Yeah.
State courts can't tell federal government actors what to do.
That's right.
So my concern here is if you cannot foreclose on a property in Texas because of constitutional bars, if it's your homestead, unless you get what's called a 736, 735 procedure, motion for expedited foreclosure proceeding.
Okay.
Why can the federal government do it? Well, here we go. Here's my concern. I think that they can do it because they need to, they want to, and they'd like to.
That's right.
Yeah. And so the creditor attorneys have been starting, and by the way, I hadn't seen one of these for 5 years?
Yeah.
3, 1 week.
Let me bring up why I brought this video out a year ago saying that I knew that foreclosures were going to explode in June. It was because after Dodd-Frank was enacted, it extended the period of time that a bank would be able to actually do a foreclosure proceeding, right? Well, now Fannie and Freddie are a very interesting dynamic. First off, they're private companies,
are they?
Well, yeah, they run so close to the government, and they are supposed to sit in line with government standards, right?
Right.
So there's a lot of money that's been put out. Now, Texas is a very interesting dynamic because it is a sovereign, it's its own country essentially, right? Yeah. But everybody's running to Fannie and Freddie backed loans, and now that Fannie Mae has just come out and said we got problems because we're taking so much losses on our commercial properties. They're going to need to figure out where to get their money. And there's so many forbearance issues right now that are working their way through the courts. And I'm going to do this really quick. Before I get John fired up a little bit more, I'm going to put his information down. I don't get a dime from this. But I had to seek legal help when I was working through a loan modification program when my mom died and we had all these other problems back at the Great Recession. I didn't realize how close I was to getting my loan modified, but it wasn't until I sought help from a good attorney that they were able to get the modification for me. But you're seeing a lot of those mods right now, right?
Yeah.
Okay, and so what's the difference between dealing with normal business and all of a sudden these HUD-1 foreclosures hit?
Okay, so it's an asymmetric power structure and it's horrible. Okay. One of the premises for the United States is equal bargaining power, right? We're a free market entity. And the concern is that HUD, guess who their attorneys are?
Who?
The U.S. Attorney's Office.
Okay.
Right?
Powerful.
So it's a powerful entity.
Yeah.
I had a state judge who was nominated, right? And she was a Federalist. I quite liked her as a person.
Okay.
And she said, what do you think my old U.S. attorney friends would say if I signed this restraining order, right? Restraining the federal government. And I said, I don't know. I'm worried about what your constituent would say.
There you go.
That's the problem, okay?
Yeah.
At the end of the day, the federal government is pushing these because they are concerned that it's going to get out, that the adjustments they've made since 2008 have contributed to some of the deficit issues. And we all know it already.
Yeah.
Right? But they've inextricably intertwined the real estate market with the value of the US dollar.
Yeah.
And they have to show some collections.
That's right.
That's about it.
Well, here's the thing too. I know that Fannie and Freddie are blowing up in mortgages that are now going behind, right? People are not paying their, and they don't want this information out. We're going to see this blow up in the next few months.
It's already out.
So,
Yeah.
And that's the thing. How many people in Texas do you believe are just losing their homes right now? They're in the process and they just think, well, the government's coming to take my house. I haven't even looked for a lawyer yet.
Most. Okay,
Yeah.
This is horrible. Number one, look, I'm free to call.
Yeah.
And
Watch
please
out
call
what you
somebody.
say. Yeah.
Shoot.
Yeah,
I
and
know,
I'm going to put his
right?
information down below if you're in Texas. And I'd also like, if you don't mind, if you're living in Texas and you're going through issues right now with your mortgage company, put down below, like throw it out there. What's going on? Because he's
I'll
going to look
answer.
at it. I'm going to watch because I think this is going to blow the lid off of something that's happening nationwide.
It totally is. So one of the things that happened, and I made a joke earlier, Fannie and Freddie were effectively went from private to become public companies during the bailout in 08 and 9.
Yeah.
And I'd like to bring us to China.
Okay.
Okay. China has a term.
Wait, you
Organs
mean
of the
China?
State. China.
Yeah.
China. Good said.
Yeah.
Right.
Trying.
China uses organs of the state. They have a top-down approach. Okay. When I took Chinese business law 20 years ago, I was like, this is horrible.
Yeah.
It's quite like Fannie and Freddie. Okay. So if you look at, say, this is being filmed just after the election.
Yeah.
Ken Paxton tried to say that you could bring, he's the Attorney General for Texas. He tried to pass a law that you could bring guns to the State Fair of Texas. The State Fair of Texas is a government function.
Mhm.
Okay. And it's at a private venue. So is it a government actor or is it a private actor? It doesn't matter. The point is that when you try to tell your government to stop,
Yeah.
they have they effectively have a sovereign immunity clause that allows them to be a super creditor, super hard to deal with.
Wow.
And now, are you telling me I can only file a bankruptcy?
Yeah.
How am I supposed to dispute the validity of this if you're not going to let me get my foot in the door?
Yeah.
Lastly, they only have to give you 21 days notice of foreclosure. So the biggest problem is people call me on the Thursday before. We're filming this 48 hours after a foreclosure cycle.
Because they're getting, I know this cycle, they're getting sucked into trying to contact the
the
government.
banks.
Yeah, the banks and going, hey, no,
I'll
can
do
work
it for
something
you.
out?
We try to get them all pulled ahead of time if it
Yeah.
makes sense, right?
Yeah.
But the point is that you don't have your options available.
I
And
agree.
and we lower the price for these kind folks. We have to.
Yeah, like this isn't a commercial. How much does something like that cost?
Sure.
'Cause
It's
I
like
paid like
$2,500.
I paid $5,000 when I was in California. Just
Yes.
I look back on it and I got all that money back in spades because of the lower interest rate they were able to work out.
And so honestly, it's about a 6-month process for a lawsuit. Really, it's 90 days, but you
Yeah.
say 6, and then bankruptcies aren't good. But if
Yeah.
you got to do one, just do one.
Yeah,
Relax.
Yeah.
Right? There's a strong network that had to develop in Texas.
yeah,
Okay. And it's my pleasure to put you with honest people wherever you are. But we do have offices in all the large city centers, except for El Paso.
Yeah.
And so we're opening up soon. And then in Florida and California, it's the same thing.
yeah. I don't want this to sound like a commercial because
No.
it's honestly not.
What do you think about California, though? I think it's worse, right?
Oh, absolutely. And the thing is, and I want to have you on in pretty soon, again
Yeah.
and again, because this is going to explode. And it was an attorney that helped me, a law firm, because at the very end of working through my own forbearance and trying to I actually didn't do forbearance. I ran behind 2 months and then came current so that it opens up that next door for the bank to talk to you.
You
And
get
so,
60 days.
yeah. And so I did that and then I came current. So I'm sorry. I ran 60 days behind the entire process.
Mhm.
Always having the money on the side to get it fixed. But
Tell everybody why you said 60 days.
Huh?
Tell them why.
Because there's a legal precedence where a bank is obligated to not work with you until you're 60 days or more behind.
And it's bad. You never want to listen to somebody who says don't pay your mortgage, but at the same time, it's kind of true.
It
right?
is absolutely true. And I went through this because, and I'll just tell you my story, a personal story. My mom died, and she was given like 8 weeks to live before she when we found out, and she wanted to die at home, so we paid for in-home care. Well, I had at that time 6 mortgages and no other debt, and I had 6 months of all my bills saved up in the bank,
Nice.
right? So a life event, and all of a sudden I'm paying $12,000 a month to watch my mom die for the last 8 weeks of her life, and that was rough. My renter died in my rental, right? No income. It's sketchy.
It wasn't in California?
No, it was in Arizona.
That's good at least.
Yeah.
Well,
and
Arizona's not
she
that
was
much
an
easier to
incredible
get by.
lady. I promised her she could live there till the day she died. I was never going to raise rent. It was an incredible story, but now I lost income. And then I had an insurance fraud set up where a company through my my work said you signed up for an insurance plan. You know, what is it when you're putting money away for your medical benefits or something like that? Yeah, I forget.
It's a fixed savings plan thing.
Yeah, exactly. It was
Yeah.
and so I know I didn't sign up for it. And so they're drafting $700. I went through 4 negotiations with an attorney that I won every single one, on mediation. And they still didn't stop taking the money out. So
And you
I
were
had
working a government job, weren't you, too?
Oh, yeah.
So your money's tied. It's a noose.
Oh, yeah.
It's
and
a
they
lockbox.
didn't want to help me. So my point being is that I blew through all my money. And that's where I had to make the decision to stop making a mortgage payment.
And how many people have 6 months saved up?
Nobody.
Nobody does.
Nobody. And so I hit a financial tragedy. Well, I was so mentally burnt out. I went through the process of renegotiating the loan terms. I didn't know how close I was, and we finally reached out to an attorney. I'm actually super happy I tried and then still reached out. For the $5,000 I paid, you're saying it's $2,500?
So like what happens now is that because we have to charge a bond, like I'll charge I say $5,000, 25 a month.
Yeah.
But that's my higher new price, guys, because of inflation.
Yeah.
Most of that is the bond and the filing fee.
Gotcha.
So I'm still like 25. Yeah. 3,000 is probably the low.
Yeah, and I
You
noticed
know?
that the banks were so much more receptive with the attorneys that I hired, and that's all they did.
It's a dance partner.
Yeah.
I hate this and I wish it wasn't true. I'm good at my job.
Yeah.
But a lot of it is cultivating relationships with the people I go to recess with. And guess who they are? They're not the debtor attorneys, they're the creditor attorneys.
Yeah.
You know, and there's about 5 frequent flyer firms. So how'd it go for you in the end?
It went great. I mean, they fixed it. This was obviously, I think we settled in 2009. It affected my credit in the fact that, you know, I was behind a couple months payments. I came current, all that kind of stuff. It wasn't the end of the world. You could fix your credit. I refused to go through bankruptcy. That was just a personal pride thing with me. I do understand that, and this is one thing you have to understand too. A lot of people that claim bankruptcy in 2008, 9, 10, they were back in a house within a year and a half.
18 months.
It's super fast.
Do you want to go over what that means at all?
Yeah, because I think there's a lot of people that are afraid. They may be watching this. And look, we're buddies, so we go back and forth and banter and stuff. But this is a very serious topic. And I think in the next 6 months, you're going to see this all over the news. So I want to break this information now that foreclosures are exploding. And he's seeing this on the front line. So yeah, if you want to run through
there's really
the bankruptcy.
5 things people can do.
Yeah.
But as individuals, you want to focus on a 13 and a 7. Okay. Presently, and I'll give you some cost points. At 13, call it $4,800 all in, $1,500 to start.
Yeah.
Guys, gals, folks, purple people, who cares? All a Chapter 13 is a 5-year forced loan at 10%. I don't know how else to tell you this. If you're $60,000 behind on your mortgage and your mortgage is $2,000 a month, right? Okay, guess what? 60,000 divided by 60 months, 1,000 a month.
Yeah.
3,000 a month. Conduit. Conduit means you pay the court the whole amount of your mortgage and the trustee payment.
Okay.
Stroke that check at the end of 60 months. You've gotten current, so they can't foreclose.
Gotcha.
And you receive a discharge of all of your debt except for child support, student loans, and IRS.
What about a 17?
A 7.
Seven.
Chapter 7. It's okay.
Yeah.
7s are great. They're actually the only bankruptcy I would do.
Okay.
A 13 I would do if I had to.
Yeah.
But it's like that good old sales movie. ABC's always be closing, always be converting to a 7.
Okay.
Why? If you get the loan mod that you work so hard for in your
Yep.
13 in year 1, you don't have any reason to be in a 13 with the payment plan anymore.
Gotcha.
So assuming you qualify and you don't make too much money, Donald Trump is my favorite example before he became a president, and very, polarizing.
Yeah.
My joke used to be he had to file one when he got a divorce with Ivanka, right? But they paid 100% of their debt. If you don't make so much money and you got in trouble, you can pay 0% of your debt as long as you get current on what you want to keep. It's called a 0% Chapter 13 plan. For instance, if you had $60,000 in credit card debt and the 60 in arrearage, only pay the 60 in arrearage.
Yep.
Convert to the 7, you keep everything you're current on.
Yeah.
And you just get the discharge and it cuts off the tail at the end. Average price between $2,500 and $3,500.
You could
That's
tell
it.
John does a lot of this, though. He talks really fast.
Sorry,
There
slow
are
me down.
probably a lot of people where their eyes are rolling back in their head, but I'll tell you this. John's number is going to be down below. If you are in, California, Florida, and Texas, that's where he works. If you're in a state and you're desperate for help because you are drowning in debt and you're going to lose your house, I'm sure you can get somebody to talk to them.
Definitely, and we need to get you with somebody who is trying to help you, because the money flows from the heart, right? By helping you the right way. So the real trick here is that there's no shame in it. 40% of people over the age of 40 have filed a bankruptcy, just don't know it.
Yeah.
Okay. Next, ask me how many I've filed bankruptcies in the last 5 to 10 years.
How many?
About 8.
Wow.
I hate them. I started my whole firm so that bankruptcy, which is a court of last resort, could be your last resort.
Yeah.
Okay. So treat it like that. Be able to talk about it, because
Yeah.
it's just a bankruptcy. It's not debtor's prison. That's the point.
And understand, under old regimes, debtor prisons were put back in place.
Totally.
So that's a whole nother video. But look, I won't go any longer. His information's down below. Foreclosures are exploding, and hopefully we'll have you on the channel as this
I'll
progresses,
update you.
especially around the first of the year. We're going to see a lot of fireworks.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
Appreciate you, man.
All right. With that being said, the Economic Ninja is out.